Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Lovely to see you again for another catch up around various people's views, project management experts' views around AI and project management. I'm really happy today to be joined by Joel Carboni. Apologies, Joel.
Carboni, Lloyd.
Sorry, Joel.
Oh my
Would
goodness.
you mind just introducing yourself, Joel?
Sure, Lloyd. Hi, everybody. Good to be on. I'm Joel Carboni. I'm the founder president of GPM, also known as Green Project Management. We are the domain experts for sustainability in the project space. This is our 15th year based here in the US and happy to be on.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Joe. I'm really excited to hear about your views with AI and project management and obviously the crossover in terms of your world in around sustainability, as it were. Let's get going and just
Sure.
ask you your sort of overarching views around AI and project management and how AI could be used within project management for benefit, as it were.
Well, it's interesting. I'm looking at AI from a much broader perspective. Okay, so let me tell you about a couple of things I'm seeing, right? The application of it. So, for example, one fascinating use case that comes to mind is D-Wave systems. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're diving into the quantum computing space, and they're actually exploring ways to leverage quantum computing to tackle some of the most complex problems in the world, right? Including, well, cancer, for example. I mean, it's not every day you hear about quantum computers potentially saving the mysteries of the universe and saving lives. Who knew science fiction would turn into science fact so quickly? It's like we're living in a science, episode of Star Trek. I mean,
Yeah.
with D-Wave, you can put a question in, and it costs about $1 million to do this, but in 120 seconds, it spits out what they think the answer is. And they're actually taking these solutions and putting them into practice and solving actual problems. So I think AI has the capability to take all this data out there and put it together in ways that we haven't thought of. Oh, try it this way, try it that way, and every single possibility, and give us a real possible answer.
I
So it's
I
really neat.
I I I totally agree. That we're sort of maybe at a great moment in history, and who knows for when we look back in time. But what we do know is the world is evolving at a rapid rate, more rapidly than it ever has before. Locally, whether it's Chat GPT, we're on version 4, and it was only launched, publicly in November
Right.
22, and who knows, this version 5 is on its way, and I'm told that it's a massive leap forward in terms of capability. In your sustainability world, are you seeing some specific use cases starting to emerge?
I haven't seen anything that's brought tremendous value yet, but I do have expectations. We have what's known as the nine planetary boundaries, as far as ecological ceilings, and those issues that with biodiversity. And I'm hopeful that we can be able to use it to target the real critical areas to give us, the places that we need to go to. What should we focus on today, right now? What is the
Mm.
critical factors to focus on right now with fact based? So that way, people that have their quote unquote opinions of this is not real, this is not right, it's all science based, and there's
Yeah,
no
yeah,
question of this is a reality because the computer told us to. So I'm hopeful that it will help us narrow out some of the noise and get us
yeah.
to actionable items.
Yeah, well, I hope so too. As obviously you're a massive supporter of sustainability. I am too, and anything that can help us accelerate, get to, net zero or whatever the key measure is a fantastic leap forward
Mm,
from my point of view. And I think it goes back to your previous point about data volumes and seeing the wood from the trees around the data volumes and
right.
focusing in on the right moment. So I totally agree with that. And I know you and I have been talking about, well, what are the measures around sustainability? For those people that don't know, just give us the headline as to how you measure sustainability in 1 second.
Oh boy, Lloyd, it's
Sorry for.
it's quite large actually. So sustainability is largely a spectrum. Okay. Um, the first thing I do when I walk into a classroom or when I walk into a lecture is I say, when I say the word sustainability, what pops into your head? Typically people will say, oh, you know, trees or the environment or, but it's so much more broad than that. So we have an ontology, which is like a periodic table of elements. And for us, we break it down into categories to help make it make sense. And so on the social side, we look at, labor practices and decent work, society and customers, human rights and ethical behavior. And each one of those categories is broken down further into elements. So you've got employment and staffing, you've got labor management relations, you've got health and safety, and down the line. On the environment side, you've got transport and energy, land, air, and water, and also consumption. Those tie into the SDGs a little bit. And then on the economic side, we look at investment feasibility, business agility, and market and economic stimulation. And each one of those indicators have KPIs and measures and guidance that you can use to improve your business and also your projects. And that's how we look at it.
Well, I think that's where I was going in this conversation,
Sure.
that each component has a measure and a KPI associated with it.
Right.
And for me, then I'm thinking from an AI lens, well, help AI helping you determine what that KPI is and from a prediction point of view, maybe predicting what the progress could be towards that KPI, I think is potentially, of massive value as well. Do you see that as well?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you're in a project and you come up against an obstacle or an impact that you didn't intend to see, and you have to solve it, right? And you've got all this project data available to you. You've got lessons learned. You've got past projects, other projects that are out there. If you can feed that data into there and say, give me some options, right?
Mm,
What am I not thinking? What's beyond my capability of thinking even about? And it presents you with
mm.
30 possibilities. And what would happen if you enact all of them, right?
Yeah,
Pick a pick a scenario.
yeah,
It's like watching one of those movies, or one of those movies where you get to like choose your own ending. It
yeah,
shows you
yeah,
the end point and
yeah,
the effects of the end point and what happens if I make this decision. It gives you the ability to make a better decision, and that's
yeah.
really what we're looking at, right?
And that's steering you or leading you towards that decision. Yes, it might be ultimately still a human decision to make, because like you said, there could be options, but if something can lay out the facts for you in a much more rapid way, that's got to have a huge benefit. And especially, like you said, if your project is at a certain crossroads, not knowing which way to turn, if I do X, what is the impact on sustainability if I do that route, or if I do Y, the impact. So for me, it's not just about showing the options, it's actually guiding us towards what the ideal solution may be.
Exactly. And there's a lot of chatter out there by people, the instant AI experts. You say that project manager jobs are going to be replaced by AI, and that's just nonsense.
Mm,
I think AI superpower is turning that fire hose of data into a neatly organized stream of insights, right?
yeah,
Imagine sifting through billions of data points to find that one needle in the haystack that can
yeah,
unlock, say, a cure for diseases or
yeah,
make sustainable energy more efficient. I think
yeah,
AI can do that while we're still trying to find our car keys, or at
yeah,
least
yeah, yeah,
that's me,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The real
I think.
magic, I think, happens when we use AI to guide us on where to put our limited resources for the maximum impact, maximum positive impact,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
getting everybody else on board. Well, that's like trying to get a cat into a bathtub to me, I think. But if I can show, clear data-driven benefits that even the skeptics might dip their toes in, I think
Yeah.
probably not
Well,
like it.
I must admit I haven't actually tried to get a cat in a bathtub
It's
yet,
not
but
pretty. It's not
I'm
pretty.
a young man, Joel, so who knows one day. But I think there's a couple of things you said there. A, you know, you're very rapid overview of the complexity, or shall I say, not necessarily the complexity, but how broad sustainability is.
Mm.
And if a human was just trying to gather all of that data, I am sure that it would be a large team of lots of administration, lots of effort to pull something together that was no doubt out of date by the time you published it as well. So, in my mind, what was going through my mind there was actually there could be some benefit both on the sort of data gather, data reconciliation side, even before you get to the decision making side as
Oh,
well.
absolutely. Yeah. And at GPM, we do project assessments for organizations, as a service. And when we go on site to assess the project, we look at all these, 49 areas, and we dig down deep and say, we want to see evidence, show us that you've done this or show us how it's impacted your project.
Mm.
And they go, every element? Yep.
Yeah.
And we look at it from 5 different ways. We look at it from the asset lifespan, from the servicing of that asset once it goes into commission. We look at it from the project perspective. How efficient was it? How effective was it? And how fair was it? And they go, oh my.
Yeah.
And they say, how do we even parse that? Well, we have a method for that. But
Yeah.
if you can use AI to help delineate that, it makes it much easier and a lot more effective in predicting what's going to happen next time if we take this action, right? And
Yeah.
that's really the goal.
Exactly. I'll just go back to what you said a couple of points ago, which this point about AI taking our jobs and all of that sort of stuff. Now, now, from my perspective, the demand for projects is just going through the roof, as it were, and I'm sure from your perspective that a big proportion of that demand is because we're trying to right some of the wrongs of lack of sustainability being at the forefront of us as humankind, as it were. So for me, the point about this is that if you can use AI to get to the more effective point in projects quicker or run more projects, and as an individual quicker, that's got to be good for everybody, isn't it? And good for sustainability as well.
As long as you can stay focused, yeah. As long as you're not over allocating yourself, because that could become quite a challenge. People
Yeah.
tend to bite off more than they can chew, thinking I can do it. Case in point, I took a scout troop to an obstacle course the other day, and they have levels of difficulty. Me being my age, which is old, thinking,
Yeah.
oh, I can do the black course. No, man, I
Yeah.
couldn't do that. So we have to be real about what we can actually take on. AI is a great tool, but it can't do our work for us. We have to still
Yeah.
be able to behind the wheel,
I, I, I,
and still
I
feel
I
that ready, by
think,
the way.
and again, it depends on your worldview on some of this stuff, but AI can actually help us remove some of the optimism bias. So back to your scout troop example. If it tapped you on the shoulder and said, "Hey, buddy, you're obviously this is not you, Joel, but you're slightly out of shape. You're a
Oh no,
little
it's
bit
me.
on the
It's me.
mature
Totally me.
side. Yeah, if you do undertake this, there might be implications from a health and safety point of view." Now, for me, that hopefully would allow me as Joel or whoever that person is to make my decision. I'm not undertaking that black course. Don't be so daft,
Right.
as it were. So I totally agree. But again, for me, used correctly, I think AI could have the benefit to actually get to that decision and the right decision making sooner rather than later.
Oh, I totally
Yeah.
agree. And I think at the higher level, at the portfolio level, it allows you to make the right investment decisions on the right projects as well. So you're not doing more projects, you're doing the right projects. And
Yeah.
that's really the key, right?
Yeah. And surely in a sustainable world where, obviously we would like to do everything. We always like to do everything, but unfortunately it does come down to prioritization. So, which projects give you the biggest return,
Biggest benefit, right?
biggest benefit, and if AI can help us with that decision making around sustainable projects, that's got to be a good thing, surely.
Sure, I agree.
Yeah. Now I must ask you, because we did touch on the AI is going to, we're all doomed. AI is going to take over our jobs. All that, obviously, hopefully, I counted that okay. But do you see other risks associated with AI, as it were?
So two things, right? I see some challenges, and I mean, let's not sugarcoat it, right? Implementing AI is like, I'll go back to my cats, right? It's like herding cats while juggling chainsaws.
Yeah,
You've got the usual suspects, uncertainty about the value,
yeah,
the sheer complexity of the systems, the compatibility with existing processes, and of course, the elephant in the room, data.
yeah,
Clean data, clean quality data is the fuel for AI. If you're
yeah,
feeding in junk data, well, you can expect, you can't expect filet mignon results.
yeah,
But
yeah.
let's also remember that every challenge is an opportunity. It's about figuring out the right approach, tweaking as we go along, and not getting too hung up when things inevitably go sideways.
Yeah.
While innovation is sometimes messy, but always worth it.
I love that, and of course in sustainability, I would add the extra complexity of the multiple stakeholders, both internally and externally. Company X wants you to report data in one way. Company, whichever government body or whatever the need for that external reporting. So I think that makes it even more complex. But again, that's another reason why you could automate. But you're absolutely right. It is complex, and it is even so more complex in the sustainability world because of these, stakeholders pulling data in different way.
Absolutely.
And of course,
Absolutely.
we never gathered the data in the first place. That alone
Yeah.
gathered the data in a
What
mature
lessons learned?
way as well.
Are you supposed to keep those? Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. I didn't even know we were supposed to track them. So
Those in a
it
drawer
is.
somewhere. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was chatting to somebody the other day about their sustainability data, and they were just talking to me about all of these different bodies that they have to report to, and that was just in one of those 49 categories, as it were. So, you start multiplying that up. It is a complex beast. There's a lot of data
Well,
involved.
see,
So,
my favorite part of that is when every organization we've gone into, and I mean every single one, they talk about, oh, we have all these reports we have to do. And I say, okay, what data are you submitting? And at what point do you start tracking and measuring sustainability data? They go, oh, when we commission the asset. And I go, do
mm,
projects not matter? They
mm,
go, what do you mean? Well, there's materiality in the work you're doing to build the R&D
yeah,
process. Even like, let's
yeah,
say, take that fill process, right? Fill
yeah,
1, 2, 3.
yeah,
Those R&D practices, the processes, the development, all that has impacts,
yeah,
carbon emissions, all that stuff. Are
yeah,
you tracking that? No.
yeah.
Well, if you're not reporting that, then you're greenwashing. And they go, and their
Well,
hearts just sink. Like,
I
but
mean,
it's okay. Just say we didn't know and start tracking it now. That's a great thing to
yeah,
share,
yeah,
that you've made a change and now you're doing it. Good for
yeah.
you, right? It's
It's,
okay.
and it's really interesting, that point about, you know adjoining projects world with the AI world, with sustainability world, and hopefully making sure that those measuring systems are in place, I think is certainly a big leap forward. Even if you're not ready to adopt AI today, it's about building the foundations for tomorrow, as you allude to. So now, Joel, I tend to only do these talks for 20, 30 minutes, as it were. We know that we could keep talking, but if there was sort of some headlines that you wanted to make about, your views around AI and sustainability and projects, what would they be?
I've got two. You want the good or you want the bad?
Well, does both include cats?
No, no cats, I swear.
Go on. Let's end on a high. So let's
On
do the
high,
bad first. Yeah.
done. Okay, sounds good. So my big takeaway here is that I think we're standing on the edge of something revolutionary, right? And you mentioned earlier about, ChatGPT 5 coming. Who knows what that's going to include?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it'll
Yeah.
make my coffee for me. Great. If not, I don't know.
Yeah.
But we absolutely need to push those boundaries because that's where the magic happens, right? But we also have to keep our eyes wide open. Not everyone plays by the same rule book.
Yeah.
And we need to face it. Some people just want to watch the world burn. So while we charge forward all the excitement of a kid in the candy store, which is often me,
Yeah.
we've got to bring some adult supervision in the room. It's about
Yeah.
balancing innovation with responsibility and making sure that what we create doesn't just benefit a few, but contributes to the greater good. And
Yeah.
that's what we want.
I love that, Joel, and GPM has a role to play in that in terms of setting the gold standards around sustainability and around measurement
The
of
green standards,
sustainability
yes.
as well. Yeah, so, apologies. Yeah, yeah. Excellent. Well, look, thank you so much for your time
Absolutely.
today, and obviously look forward to catching up in the future. And I'm just off to herd some cats up.
I'm putting myself in a bathtub right now. Just kidding.
Excellent.